It's finally here. After over 30 years and multiple rumors, it's finally in theaters. The sequel to one of the greatest movies of all time, and one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, Blade Runner. Let me tell you a little story. Back when I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up, I watched a couple of movies that really influenced me and made me finally realize that I wanted to be a filmmaker. Those movies were Drive, Star Wars, and Blade Runner. Blade Runner has had a limitless influence on me. It's in my top 5 favorite movies of all time, as I've mentioned before. And it's the one movie that really got me into sci-fi, cyberpunk, synth music. I mean, sure, Drive did all that as well, but Blade Runner was really the catalyst, I would say, to my career choice. And now that the sequel's finally here, it's surreal because the amount of talent behind this movie is just incredible. I never thought that a sequel to Blade Runner would get this much love and care put into it with the amount of talent behind this. Just to give you an example, or multiple examples, Ryan Gosling is the lead actor, and he's one of my favorite actors, if not my favorite, and he's near perfect in almost everything he's in. Roger Deakins, probably the best living cinematographer, is shooting the movie. Hans Zimmer is scoring it. Denis Villeneuve, I'm sorry if I butchered that name, is directing it, and he's one of the greatest directors of our generation. Harrison Ford comes back as Rick Deckard. They would have to try to make a bad movie. They would actually have to go out of their way to say, hey, how can we fuck up this property so much that it gets awful reviews and bombs at the box office? They would have to try. They would actually have to go out of their way to do it. And after walking out of the theater, this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my entire life. I sat there after the credits ended for like 15 minutes, just staring at the screen. My one friend had to tap me on the shoulder to say, hey, let's go, dude. You've been sitting here for a while. I'm almost speechless with how good this movie is. Denis Villeneuve has done it again. Last year, Arrival was my favorite movie of 2016. And he's 2 for 2 now. Blade Runner 2049 is my favorite movie of this year. I feel that there's no movie that's going to top it. And it's definitely in my top 10 of the decade so far. This movie is both inspirational and demotivational at the same time. It's inspirational because this is one of those movies that makes me remember why I love movies, why I want to make them, why I want to share ideas, put them to film, and throw them into the world. It's just the love and care that Denis Villeneuve put in this movie that really revitalized my love for the movies. But it's also demotivational because I feel I'm never going to make anything as good as this movie. I feel that I'm never going to reach the levels of just pure perfection that this movie reaches. I don't know, maybe one day when I get more experienced in my field, but now, no way. It's almost insulting how just Denis Villeneuve knew Blade Runner better than all of us, better than the countless essays written about Blade Runner. Denis Villeneuve knows Blade Runner better than every single person on this planet, including Ridley Scott, the man who fucking made the movie. I mean, what's there to say? Ryan Gosling is fantastic in this movie, and damaged performance that I really would like to see awards thrown his way. I'm going to try to keep everything spoiler free because the less you know about this movie, the better. And that's the way Denis intended it. During the press junkets, he was saying that he would like the press to not reveal certain this film. And shit, I'm not on the press, but I agree with that sentiment. The less you know about this movie, the better. Ryan Gosling gives a fantastic performance. Harrison Ford gives arguably the best performance of his career in this movie. Jared Leto in this movie, he's phenomenal. Dave Bautista is pretty good for the amount of time he's in the movie. There's not a single bad performance in this movie. Robin Wright kills it. Ana de Armas is amazing. I have no complaints about the performances. The cinematography in this movie. This is probably the best shot movie of the decade. Roger Deakins has gone above and beyond every single movie he's ever made and created a visual feast that cinematographers, artists, painters, everybody who has an appreciation for how something looks on a canvas or a frame and just blew it out of the water. This movie is beautiful. Imagine every single adjective word beautiful, and that's how you can describe every single frame of this movie. This movie's gorgeous. It's breathtaking to look at. This is one of the best looking movies I've ever seen. And Blade Runner, I used to think Blade Runner was the best shot movie I'd ever seen. It only makes sense that this movie is also one of the best shot movies I've ever seen, if not the best shot movie I've ever seen. I'm speechless. This movie just oozes beauty. It's so hard to describe how just gorgeous this movie looks. If the trailer was any indication on how good this movie looks, the small screen does not do it justice. Seeing this on a movie theater, it changed my life. The sound design is immaculate. Every single time Kay's spinner revs up, or every single time he shoots his gun, every sound is painstakingly crafted to be homogenous with the world. It's breathtaking, just the amount of effort put into this movie. They took an established world that Ridley Scott made in the first Blade Runner and built upon it in the best way possible. We see things that only were mentioned in the first Blade Runner. We see things that are new and vital to the world and the story. Speaking of the story, it's incredible. It's heartfelt. It has many twists and turns. This is one of the most thought-provoking movies I've ever seen. Now, sci-fi is known for being a very thought-provoking genre. A lot of social commentary involved with the genre. But with this movie, it really pushes what sci-fi can do as a genre and a thought-provoking think piece. So the story's great. The performances are great. The sound design and cinematography are perfect. They're perfect. There's nothing wrong with them. They are actually perfect. The music, I'm convinced Hans Zimmer can do no wrong. The score for this movie evokes Vangelis, the composer of the first movie, in such a faithful way that it doesn't feel like Hans is ripping him off in any way. It feels like he's expanding upon Vangelis's ideas with the first Blade Runner and taking all of the nuance and the dark synths and the fluttery keyboard progressions and taking them to another level in Blade Runner 2049. I feel that Hans Zimmer really stepped in and really did Vangelis justice. When it comes to things I didn't dislike a single thing about this movie. Blade Runner 2049 is a masterpiece. It's a visual masterpiece. It's an auditory masterpiece. It's a thought-provoking masterpiece. The English language does not have enough words to describe how positively I feel about this movie. Please go see this movie. It's a shame that it's already starting to bomb at the box office, just like the first one, but please, do whatever you can to see this movie. It's not going to be for everybody, though. The pacing is very, very slow. That works with such a benefit to the movie. It takes its time building up to everything. And then once it climaxes, it's a shower of perfection. Go see this movie. Go experience what is possibly one of the greatest movies of all time. I know it sounds like I might be exaggerating and that I might be jerking this movie off a little bit too much, but hey man, this is how I genuinely feel about this movie. It's an inspirational movie. It's a demotivational movie, but it's a movie that nonetheless deserves attention. There's no other movie like it out on the market right now. And there hasn't been a movie like it out on the market since the first Blade Runner. I'm going to give Blade Runner 2049 my highest grade of a 10 out of 10. Do yourself a favor and experience everything that this movie has to offer. Thank you all so much for watching. Please stay tuned for my review of Wind River, which will be out very soon. And thank you all so much for listening. I'm DeGe, and this is the Cinema Dash.